Good morning, everybody. I hope your Christmas was phenomenal. As we gear up for the new year, we welcome you to this morning's edition of Thought-Provoking Change. Hey, this is going to be a lot of fun. Today, we are talking about being intentional. You know, that can mean that goes with everything in life, whether that's being intentional with your time, with your relationship, with your finances. It is of uber importance to be very intentional with everything. You see, for the past few weeks, we have talked about the power of your network, relationship capital, life's purpose, define your why, mindset, and last week we talked about what you focus on grows. All of that comes into being intentional with your time. You know, time is one of those assets that we never get back. Once it's gone, it is gone. So be very cautious of what you put your time into. Make sure that it's fulfilling to your life. Now, you know that I am one that believes that you should have fun in life. So devote some of your time to fun. But there are so many things to do. It's taking care of your family, taking care of your business, getting together with friends, just like we're doing right now. It's always great to see every one of y'all to come here, hang out, and just get our week started off like this. You know, we talk about some very practical things to incorporate into your business, into your life, to move to that next level. You know, that is my big passion, is to see people level up, to see people go from where they're at right now to the next level where they know they should be at. And depending on what that is for you, you know, sometimes you just need somebody to come give you a boot in the rear end to say, hey, come on, you've got this. I believe in you, let's go. Sometimes it's far more in depth. But see, to be intentional, I think one of the very first things you have to do is to define your values, to know exactly who you are, to know what you bring to the table. You know, we all have different values, and a lot of the values that we have on this call, they're going to mingle together. A lot of us are going to have some of the same values and some different values, but defining what those are, to know exactly who you are as a person, is really a first step to being intentional. Because if you don't know who you are, it's kind of hard to be intentional with pretty much anything. You know, you got to focus on your goals, have your values defined, and know what you're aiming for, know what you're shooting for, and focus. That takes massive action steps. You know, we talked about one time in the past couple weeks about the power of positive thinking. And although I am a big fan of positive thinking, it requires massive action steps. The example that I used previously was you can run east looking for a sunset and believe it as much as you want to. It's never going to happen. You must take those massive action steps to realize, hey, I'm running the wrong way. Turn around, look west. That's where you're going to see your sunset. Or if you're too stubborn, put up a mirror so you can see the rear view and see what's going on behind you. Then you'll see your sunset. But you must know what you're going for. You must have the focus, and again, the massive action steps is where it really comes in at. When you're focusing on what to do, who you are, and you have all of that defined, do something that you can be proud of. Do something you can look back on and say, yeah, I was involved. Yes, I did something with that. And it puts a smile on your face. You know, we can all chase money. We can all do what we do just for the money. It gets boring after a while. I mean, yes, it brings fun to your life. money does cure most things. I do completely agree with that statement. And it does offer a lot of fun to your life. However, it doesn't really bring fulfillment. You know, you can have all the money in the world. Let's look at Robin Williams. We're all old enough to remember Robin Williams, one of the greatest in my opinions. He was an absolute phenomenal actor, yet he ended his own life. You know, he was very proud of the work he did, no doubt, no doubt. But yet that positive self-talk, he was great with speaking to the outside world, but what about the inside voice, the inside, talking to himself? You know, it's a thing of knowing who you are, being proud of what you do, and being fulfilled. I'll tell you a way to be intentional is to really question your have tos. We all have huge lists of everything we have to do. We have to do this, we have to do that. But when you really take a step back and you look, do you have to? I remember several years ago, it was Sunday morning and we were getting ready to go to church. And I believe it was a van. Kate, correct me if I'm wrong. But Kate, our van was not very happy. We have to go to church, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it was Noah. That sounds like a Noah comment. We have to go to church. And I said, no, you don't have to. He kind of looks up at me. I said, you get to. Immediately, everything changed with him. Then he was excited. Oh, I get to go to church. Woo! And it's really a thing of, do you have to? Or do you get to? And the way that we look at stuff also dictates how we feel about what we're doing. You know, when he felt he had to, it was no fun. When he felt he got to, it was good. It was awesome. Another big thing is to prioritize rest. You know, we all get busy. I know everybody on this call, and I know how busy every one of us gets with everything going on in life. And prioritizing rest and self-care, that can mean so many different things for so many different people. Me personally, I have a barber shop a couple cities south of us that I love to go to. It's too far for me to go every time, but it's called Boardroom for Men. I love this place. For me to go in there, get my hair cut, get my beard trimmed, cost me $100. But the experience, that's my self-care. You know, I enjoy that time. I treat myself to it. Essentially, when I'm about to have a speaking engagement, that's what I give myself. It's fun. But giving yourself that self-care revitalizes you for when you're doing those things that you have to and get to do. I read something a long time ago that said that Jay Leno had in his contract, they required him to take 4 weeks a year off. They required it. It was not optional. He had to take the time off because Jay Leno didn't like to take time off. He wanted to work nonstop. And the article that I was reading was talking about how after he came back from that break each time, his work was so much better because he had time to rest, had time to really focus. And it is so easy, especially in our busy, busy lives, to lose focus of stuff and lose focus of taking care of ourselves. You also got to know when to let go. To be intentional, you got to know when to let go. You know, there are things that we want so bad sometimes. There are things that we're invested in. There are things that we've just put a lot of time in that we got to look back and say, hey, it's time to let go. Let the bleeding go out and just move on. Just knowing that this thing has ran its course, whatever it is, and moving to the next step. You know, we could have a couple month-long conversation about being intentional, because you can be intentional with everything, your relationships, your money, your family, So we're just going to hit the highlights here. And I want to know some of you guys' thoughts on how you can show being intentional. Again, you can bring this in from any angle, relationships, friendships, whatever. But being intentional, it's not always convenient. It does require commitment. You have to be committed to the cause. You have to be focused on being intentional, knowing what you're going for, knowing what you're doing, taking those massive action steps. Being intentional is so important to getting to your ultimate destination, to your ultimate goal. I know Sparrow's at the gym right now. He's got to be intentional once he starts bench pressing, or else that 62-pound weight is going to come crush his chest. No, I'm just kidding. Sparrow's a big dude. He's probably benching about 400 pounds now. But being intentional. How do you show being intentional? Dean, now that you lean back, let us know, how do you show being intentional with work, with life, with whatever? What does that mean to the great Dean Park?
Well, good morning, John. You know what? I was thinking about that when you mentioned that. That's a good topic. I was thinking about that. And it's funny how it actually it breaks down into different categories. Being intentional for families can be different than how I'm intentional with my friends, or how I do stuff for my personal, right? So it's funny. I find myself being intentional in different ways in different parts of my life. So, for example, I think about this now. Yesterday for the holidays, right? I was out there in the freezing ass cold building a zip line for Kai. It was funny because my intentions were just to have fun. But when I started something, sometimes you just got to start something and the intentions change. You go there with one idea, right? But if you go there with a positive attitude, I realized yesterday, this is good. I was out there. The intention was just to get this thing built. I didn't care. Go have fun. But along the way, the intentions became to have a good time, to network. I mean, to bond with my son. It was amazing. So then it changed. Then it shifted back to Christy and then my family. So then it was funny. Then it came back to the idea of business, right? So I think what it comes down to is that you have to have a plan. If you have no plan, the intentions aren't there. So really what it comes down to, but here's the thing though, your intentions can go both ways, because I could have gone out there same time I thought about this yesterday. I could have taken the same intentions that were good and it could have gotten bad. Oh, damn, it's cold. Oh, it's taking too long. What should have taken 15 minutes took me 2 hours to build. Okay, it's crazy. But yet, instead of letting that frustrate me and Kai had the best time for 2 hours. So I think what it breaks down to is that it's going to change, but without having the right purpose and the right meaning. Like I think I told you before, my thing called RPM. Everything I do is called RPM. What result am I looking for? What's the purpose and what's the meaning? So at the end of the day, everything to me falls under those three things, because if I don't have it, guess what happens? You'll get frustrated, you get upset. But if you remember why you're doing it, what the purpose is, what the meaning is for, why you're doing it, your intentions will always be good. At least that's my view. So, but it changes. Again, you gotta have a plan. My thing to answer the question for anything is you have to have a plan. Otherwise, what are you really after? It's kind of like having the right mindset, the right goals.
That's it. Nikki, good morning. And Nikki just had a podcast come out, and I was on the podcast with her. A lot of fun. She's wonderful. We are connected through actually a couple groups. I think we're in a couple groups together. But welcome to the call this morning, Nikki. And how do you show being intentional with things in your life?
Great morning. Yes, Jonathan, we are in quite a few groups together, and we launched our book together. So I'm super excited about that. So for me, being intentional is definitely writing out my game plan every night before on which contacts I'm going to contact and what I'm going to contact for. So I put them in categories, whether it's business, personal. When I say personal, I do like people that I haven't spoken to in a bit and kind of catch up, maybe make sure, see where they're at, what they're doing. Business, obviously, follow-ups and things of that nature. But I'm always intentional with the authenticity that I'm still forming longevity in relationships, no matter what topic we're talking about. So I'm very intentional on, my comments, just, observing, paying attention to what's going on in my spheres world, so that I can provide support in any way that I can. So that's really how I go in intentionally each and every day to make sure that I'm impacting as many people as I can impact.
It's awesome. So we have a lot of the same goals, is to impact people. Help people,
Absolutely.
without a doubt. Without a doubt. Good morning, Ricardo. How are you, my friend?
I am good, John. Good morning. I don't know why I knew you were going to call on me. Something in me said John is coming next in this direction. What Dean and Nikki just said were they were absolutely on point with the things that they said. It's taken from two different perspectives, but it's all pointing towards the same ultimate goal. For myself, John, I'm big on relationships. It doesn't matter whether it's personal relationships or business relationships. In the end, even though there's a different type of investment in a relationship, there's an investment nonetheless. And being intentional for me in those areas means I have to go in with the intent of not taking account of myself in making this investment in them or in that. I know ultimately I cannot drink from a dry well. So if I'm wanting something from this investment that I'm making, then, like I said, there has to be an intentional deposit in the place that I ultimately want to draw from in some way, whether it's drawing from a business relationship, as I said, or from a personal relationship. You can't keep going desiring something from this interaction, but never taking the time to pour something into that well that you want to draw from. So I have to go in with the mindset that momentarily, this has to be about pouring into them and filling them. I can't go in with the idea that I don't want to, I can't, I don't feel like it, or any of those things when I do this. I can't, because I'm taking account of myself, I'm not taking account of the investment and then the return on the other end that comes from making an intentional investment. So I go in with the idea that this can't be about me right now. My intention is to be mindful of them and the ultimate end rather than of myself and what I'm having to give out in the moment. So for me, that's where I have to be the most intentional, is regardless of how I feel, what is needed right now. What investment am I making and what is the ultimate end? For my family yesterday, I did something I hadn't done in a while, which is to sit down, to not do anything else, and to call everyone that I can think of to call. All my siblings. I called my older adult children that don't call me, just to talk to them, just to see how they were doing. I called my mother, FaceTime my grandmother. I talked to as many people as I possibly could while spending time with my grandkids. I enjoyed it. And it didn't have anything to do with me necessarily, but on the back end of it, I was filled because I filled them. They returned to me what I gave out. So that's what, for me, that's what intentionality is. And that's the purpose of it for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome. You were talking about relationships and pouring into them. A relationship is just like a bank account. You can't make a withdrawal until you've made deposits. You've got to put something into it to get something out of it. And that's just so, I feel like, overlooked sometimes when people go to relationships to gimme, gimme, gimme. What do you have for me? Why don't you pour something into it? Reciprocation goes a long way. You pour into it and people will pour back into you. What do you think, Lisa?
I think it's exactly right on the relationships. And the most important one is the one you have with yourself. Because if you don't have that, if you don't love yourself and you don't believe in yourself, you can't give away what you don't have.
That's right.
I had a conversation with one of my children and he was not feeling great about himself. And I'm saying, I'm really sorry for that, but I couldn't give you what I didn't have myself. And so I'm doing it now. I'm working on it now. So you can see that it's important. It's like, what is it? Put your own oxygen mask on first. And I didn't really understand that. And that didn't come across to me in my lifetime as taught to me by my parents. It was always taught, serve others, do everything for everybody else, and you take care of yourself. last. So I'm very intentional about taking care of myself and taking that meditation time for myself in the morning and having that me time. And I get up an hour early just for my me time, except on Mondays.
Hey,
And
it's just with others.
yeah, today's my other day, but I get up early and it makes such a huge difference. And I'm intentional about it because it really grounds me, it puts me at peace. And then when things come my way that aren't so great, I'm in a better position to handle it and I'm at peace. And it's a wonderful thing. And I am very intentional about that.
Awesome. Awesome. Colin, there you are. My screen keeps moving around. So Colin, good morning.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so we're talking about the topic of being intentional. For me, it's very, very direct and it's very concise. If I'm going to put my emotions or my effort or my energy into something, let it be myself or someone else, family, personal, business. Someone made a good point just a minute ago. In business, you make deals sometimes where you say, hey, I'm going to give you an apple, right? And you know that you deliver that apple, but then there's still a pineapple, there's still a banana, there's still a whole fruit basket, right? And if somebody wants to help you build something and they're giving you a hammer and you know that you're giving them a piece of fruit, right? I like metaphors and analogies because we can all understand them. Then there's a value there, right? Because they need your hammer, you need the fruit, they're feeding you and you're helping them build something. So I really look at a lot of that personally too. It's the same thing with life, with your spouse, with your children. I think the biggest thing of being intentional with being a father is to put your good attributes, right? Your talent, your skill set, your compassion, your love for your child, but also your life skills into your child. And that's really one of the ultimate things of being able to be a parent, right? So for me, with my children and with business and just life, I really like to focus on what it is in the present and what it is long term. Because if you have that opportunity to dial in that energy and your focus and your understanding of what that is and what that means to you and what that means to the other individual, and you appreciate that and you have that dialed in, being intentional, wanting to move the needle. And it's not just a monetary thing. It's more about, like we said, filling the cup, right? So if you can fill that cup and you're doing the right thing the right way, right, with the right people for the right reason, then everything else is going to turn out in your favor and you're going to be able to bless other people. So, being intentional, once again, is for me as a parent, giving the talent and skill sets, not just the love, into my children that I know are good qualities and good skill sets that I've acquired through my life. And in business, it's very similar, taking those talents and skill sets, being able to pour into other people, fill up their cup, because once they have those talents and skill sets that you've acquired and learned, they're going to have them for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. Mr. Ken, all the way from California. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Merry belated Christmas to everyone.
Same as you.
And for me, being intentional is making sure, like somebody mentioned, having a plan but being able to be flexible in that plan, because things always come up, something gets changed around on you. One of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately is having these 5-10 year goals, but to me that doesn't help a whole lot, because if you're off by 1 or 2 degrees and you're 500 yards from a target, that 1 or 2 degrees is going to end up throwing you off course quite a bit and you'll miss your target. But if you're 50 feet away, you can be off by a degree or 2 and still get pretty close to the center. So having that ability to know when to make a change, a pivot, or even sometimes just walk away from whatever you're doing and start over again is incredibly important. And I'm learning that recently.
No doubt, no doubt. You always got to be ready to pivot because sometimes things will change. And for those of you that are watching the replay, hit hashtag replay and let us hear below in the comments how you live your life very intentionally. This is about being intentional, and we want to hear from you and see how you do it as well. Kate, good morning.
Morning. I know a lot of people have talked about for the intention of like more of a broad topic, but for me, on my daily schedule and things like that, I look at what is like the have tos, meaning appointments or call meetings already scheduled and everything, because I think we get up and we think we're going to complete all this. We have this huge list of things to complete, but we don't think about what's already part of that day. And then we get to the end of the day and we're like, I completed nothing. Well, when your plan wasn't a complete plan, or it didn't take in the whole scope of the day, you could feel like that every single day. So there are days where I know that my list of things that I can get done that day is going to be very short, because my time, based on, you know, the kids having to be places or meetings of my own that I have to be on, that takes away from that. And yes, every day is another day to accomplish stuff, but also you can get into a very bad cycle and rut of feeling like you're being intentional when you're really not. Of you set out all these goals and then you don't accomplish them because you're not being realistic in your time. And it really is about looking at the whole picture. Because I could look at just me and my time, but that doesn't take into consideration where my kids need to be, because we have older kids who work and little kids who have appointments and things like that. And I have my own coaching and things that I am part of. And so I have to look at that whole thing before I can say, today I'm going to conquer the world. I can conquer the world. It may just be 2 things today, though.
Right. That's it.
So looking at the whole thing, because it is bad to get in that cycle of, I'm going to do all these things and then you don't get to them. And then you keep doing this cycle and you're not being productive at all. And being intentional with your time in that way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And focus on your wins. You know, just because it's a small step forward, it's still a step forward. And giving yourself credit for every step is so important. Chris, Ginger, what say ye? How do you show being intentional in life?
Kind of a lot of what other people are, everybody else is saying, you know, just gotta, man, my mind went blank. Just gotta motivate yourself, try to get stuff done, you know, to be around the right people. And I haven't really given it a whole lot of thought, but yeah, probably more motivational for me.
Okay. Diana, good morning. Diana,
Good morning. Yes,
morning.
good morning. For me, you know, family is very important to me. So I am very intentional and mindful of having that family time, of being focused on not having my cell phone or anything when it's family time. I want to be present for them so that I can grow my relationship both with my children and with my husband. So it's, for me, it's just being mindful and present. That's what intentional is for me in regards to family time.
That's awesome. Being mindful and being present. You know, cell phones take so much of our attention away. They say that it's keeps the whole world close, but keeps everybody that's close to us far away. And it's true. I mean, it really is, unfortunately. So that's awesome. Everybody that's watching, we would love to hear from you in the comment section below. Let us know how you live a life of intention. how you stay intentional with each and every aspect of your day. We'd love to hear from you. I'd also like to connect with you again next week, as we will be here to start the new year. And next week, we will be discussing inspiration or desperation.
Ooh,
Are you inspired or are you desperate? Which one are you
ooh, like
doing what you're doing for 2023 in the new year? I know a lot of people set New Year's resolutions. I'm not one of those. I am just the type that I see something that needs to be fixed, I don't put it off. It's just like, let's go now. I'm not going to wait till next year to start losing weight. I'm going to wait till the year after. So anyway, let's all have a great week. You all have a fantastic, fantastic New Year's celebration. Let's ring in 2023. Everybody be safe. We want to see you back here again next week, where we discuss inspiration or desperation. Everybody have a great week. See you in 167 hours.